Hi, today I want to talk about something that has taken me several years to learn and to be able to say it without feeling any shame or guilt, and that is that I am not a super mom. I can remember it was sometime Christmas time. My second baby had just been born, so I was still carrying him on one of those baby carriers. And my children are 1.5 years apart. So if he was still kind of a newborn baby, my other child was probably 1.5 years old or two. So I always thought of myself as a mom of two under two, meaning mom of two kids that are under 2 years old. And it was sometime Christmas time, and it was either Christmas time or the whole Black Friday thing, one of those holiday sales going on. And so me and my husband decided, okay, well, let's go check out Target. So we went, and I had a moment, right? Because all this was very new to me, being a mom of two, and they were so little. It just seemed so obvious, being a mom of two kids, but they're kind of spaced out and not the same as being a mom of two, where they're both babies pretty much. So I started to notice how women would look at me if it was something abnormal or something admirable. I don't know, but I would notice the stares. And I remember at other times also going grocery shopping with a stroller in the grocery store, and I'm because I had this idea that I'm not going to let this stop me from doing life as I normally did before having my two kids. So there I was with a stroller in the grocery store, putting all my groceries under the stroller, and I remember getting stares, right? And one time my child was in the stroller just crying, and I'm trying to just keep both of the babies from screaming. And I remember this really nice sweet lady behind me, she just said something you're doing good, just something encouraging. And so that was my life back then. In Target, I had noticed, that these ladies were looking, right? And I just felt proud of myself in that moment. I remember going on my social media on Facebook and posting maybe a picture, or simply just a post saying something that I was a super mom, that I felt proud, I felt strong. And at the time, I don't know if it's still a thing to call moms super moms, but at the time it was a big thing. It was normal to call yourself a super mom. And that's what I thought I was. I labeled myself that, and I pushed myself to do things that I probably, if I would have been a little more wise at the time, I would have done things differently. I would just take it easier and not feel like I have to prove that I am a super mom. So around that time, I was struggling with some health issues, which I didn't really understand what they were. But it got worse. And that was the second time I had to learn the same lesson. Going back several years before that time, I was almost done with college, and life got really difficult all of a sudden. It can be a scary thing, the last semesters of college, because all of a sudden you're reaching the end of your plan, right? All of a sudden there's pressure, and now you actually have to go into the world and use your degree, and you have to make these really important decisions that are going to pretty much impact your life. So along with that, I was actually also like planning things to get married. So my life was changing also with regards to like not living with my parents anymore, but now my whole life was changing. I was moving. I was gonna learn what it was like to live on my own pretty much, and adjust to living with someone else, and making the commitment that marriage is. It was a big deal. And then I was also going through some work stress, really stressful stuff. That year in particular, I used to work in a daycare, and that year those kids in particular were a handful. So that was all working against me at the time. So naturally I experienced this like really severe anxiety, and it almost kept me from graduating college. It was just difficult to sit through a class like never before. Like I dealt with like the common anxiety, but this was like on another level. And that's the first time that I learned the lesson that I want to talk to you guys about, which is we can be so quick to take credit, to think that we do motherhood or we do college on our own strength. And I used to think, for example, people accomplish what they accomplish in college based off of their own efforts and their own abilities. Come to find out, actually God is behind it all, because if God didn't give us the good health, if God didn't give us the peace of mind, if God didn't keep us, give us our next breath, we would not be able to do anything in the first place. And so that experience, it really humbled me, and it really brought me to a place of like dependence on God. Like, God, I know I can't finish, like I can't even walk down the graduation like line because of all this anxiety I was feeling, because life was really scary at that point. But I had to fully depend on God. Like, God, I need you to help me with this anxiety. God, I need you to help me to make all of these changes that I need to make in my life, and also later on, when I was that super mom, I had to learn this all over again and realize, wait, the only reason I'm able to like have these children in the first place, the only reason I'm able to take care of them and like be able to go to Target with one here and one over there, and to like just even prepare meals or like clean up or do the laundry, the only reason I can do those things is not because of my own strength, but because of God's faithfulness in giving me life, in giving me like good health, and giving me the strength that I need day to day, the patience, the peace. Like I need Him to help me to see life the way He wants me to see it. And so this whole supermom concept is like a myth, because it's like a supermom has her own powers, her own strength. That's what enables her to accomplish everything that she does. But when we actually see ourselves for what we are, which is that we are people completely dependent on God, and we are weak people that completely are in need of God's strength, and we depend on Him every moment and every day. Paul learned this lesson as it applied to him in his own personal walk with God. In 2 Corinthians 12:9-10, Paul said, "But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is perfected in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly in my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest on me. For the sake of Christ, then, I am content with weaknesses, insults, hardships, persecutions, and calamities. For when I am weak, then I am strong. And so I think instead of like boasting in our own strength, we need to start to boast in God's strength. That when we, being weak people, when we are going through illnesses, when we are lacking peace, whatever the case is, when we are weak, God is strong, and He is the one that enables us to be able to do whatever we need to do. So instead of saying, I am a super mom, I want to point the attention on God, on His strength, on how He is the one that helps me to be strong. He is my strength. And so this lesson has helped my heart to be humbled in a good way, because it enables me to see God for who He really is.